Hello, hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven Lewis by Raven. Joining me out of the gate is Midnight. He decided he wanted to be on camera. So here he is, getting attention. I think mainly what he was trying to do is sleep on my chest and try and put me to sleep for a second night in a row. That's not a good idea, though, little one. For those of you who don't know, I was supposed to have a show last night and ended up sleeping through the time zone for the show. Basically, what happened was I had not slept properly yesterday, and being a diabetic, my dinner hit me just right to put me to sleep because my metabolism slowed down to do that. So that's what happened to the show last night. But we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and let the kitty get out of the lap. Monster Fan says, Hail Raven and Hail Midnight. As you can see, there's a little bit of change on the visual here. I've got what is usually right up behind me. My screen is way in the back now. The reason that is because I took the poster off the wall that was causing a reflection from the overhead light. So I don't need it right up close anymore to block that reflection. So it changes the whole perspective of what the whole room looks like now. But it's there now, and you can see some of the other stuff behind me. If I turn my head that way, you can see the Aaron the Prusty Man thing commission, and then I don't know if you can tell if that's Kitty Pryde and Lockheed or not, but that's Kitty Pryde and Lockheed by the late Jeremy Dale, and then next to that is a Cyclops with my inks over Jimbo Salgado. But let's go ahead and get to questions. First question of the night. Hello, Mr. Raven. I was wondering if you had had a chance to review the most recent previews catalog and the relaunch of Heavy Metal magazine with a new #1 issue, and if so, what are your thoughts on that? Yes, I did notice that. I don't have a problem with them relaunching with the #1. What I have a problem with is that they didn't do it correctly. And what I mean by that is if you're going to launch a whole new #1 with a new volume, all the stories in the book should be the first chapter or the first time seeing. And instead, what they're doing is they're going like, I think it's issue 320 or 321 is going to be the last issue or something for the first volume, and then they're just going to continue what was not finished in the first volume into the second. I don't like that because it doesn't work, in my opinion. So I wish they had done better scheduling of the project that way. But other than that, it's fine. Our next question from multiple persons. Did you catch the Andor pilot episode or episodes when it ran on ABC during the Thanksgiving holiday? I saw the listing for it, but I missed it. I don't know what I was doing. If that was on Thanksgiving night or Wednesday night or whatever it was, but I missed it. I planned on watching it, but something happened. I got distracted or I was doing something else and I forgot about it. So no biggie. It's not like I was going to get to see the whole season anyway, since it's on Disney Plus. So, not the end of the world. Our next question, also from multiple parties. Sorry about that. Of course, now that it's raining outside, the internet's cutting in and out. That was what happened there. John just entered the room. So hopefully my internet connection will stay better than that. Apologies. Again, the question was whether or not I'd heard about the shadow ban situation with Comicsgate people. I've heard a little bit about it, not much. I've talked a little bit with Graham Nolan about it. Apparently, there's about 15 to 18 members that are on Indiegogo whose current campaigns you can't get to. You have to get the link from them directly to go. You can't just go on Indiegogo and find it anymore for some reason. And Indiegogo has not given a reason for this, but every one of them has to be members of Comicsgate and the more high-profile members of Comicsgate at that. So it looks like there's something going on categorically against that group. I have no idea exactly what to think about that because they've been there for years, hadn't had a problem before. I don't know what's going on, and neither do they. So, rather than speculate, hopefully they'll get to the bottom of it and get it cleared up and fixed. But, nobody should have to deal with that nonsense. So hopefully that'll get corrected. And our final question of the night. Are you going to be doing any more sales or store appearances between now and Christmas? Yes, I am doing a sale hopefully this weekend. The plan was to do it on Saturday. It may get delayed till Sunday because of some stuff that's going on with my parent, I should say. He wants to go do something on Saturday, so I may have to delay it until Sunday. But I will have a sale this weekend online. And then I am scheduled to appear again at Scratch and Spin Comics and Collectibles, a record store and collectibles, on the 17th of December as well. So there will be that. And I don't know if I'm going to do something on the 10th or not. But so there'll be ample opportunity to get stuff from me between now and Christmas. Let's see, what else is going on? Shout out to Brohawk Williams, and I just found out that he and his wife have been dealing with some health matters. Apparently, she's got stage 4 cancer and is facing chemotherapy, and it's rough going. And as such, Brohawks had to step down from a current project he was doing for Indiegogo, Truth, Justice, and American Ways. Had to step out, and his partner Gabe Eltiet was going to take over and draw the book instead. But we wish David and his wife all the best, and we hope for a full recovery. So if you guys have questions or comments or anything, email quothravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A. Alrighty then. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We were supposed to have a open not an open, but I'm trying to think of the word here, reveal for one of the crowdfunding projects I got in the mail. Unfortunately, that was last night, and what happened. So instead, I just went ahead and read the books and reviewed them. So we'll start with that one first, and that's Black Jackets number 1 through 5. From Bad Bug Media. It's just Mike Tenner is a solo writer, not writers on that. Artist is Francesco Tomaselli. Letterer is Micah Myers. The genre is supernatural horror adventure. Originally released back in 2019 for the first issue. The most recent issue was November 22. I got the whole 5 issues. What it's about: follow the story of Evan, Jack, Ellie, Lynn, and Asa as they embark on a journey to find their missing parents who belong to a fraternal organization of monster hunters known as the Black Jackets. Think of it as, what if Marvel's Runaways were the kids of members of Hellboy's Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, and you've pretty much got the gist of what this book is about. And when I think about it, well, it's pretty much what I just said. It's basically what kids of, what you would have with the BPRD. The cool thing of it is while I've gotten tired of BPRD over the years. After all, Noel's been doing it for 20 plus years, closer to 30 now. The idea of teenage kids trying to find themselves and find their parents is still appealing to me. The characters are all fairly well-rounded and defined, but there's still plenty of open-endedness to who and what they are and can become as the series progresses and potentially moves forward into more stories. Tomaselli generally improves in his figure work throughout the series. I do think there are some pages where there's a bit too much computer graphics work going on versus traditional artwork, particularly in some battle sequences in the latter issues. And I found that a little bit distracting, but it wasn't a deterrent, and it shouldn't bother any readers as a whole. If I were editing, I might have asked for a bit less computer tools used, but there's nothing really egregious going on. It's just my personal quirks as a reader. Now, some people may be turned off by the black and white artwork with gray tones approach. The covers that you see here with the color that you see on the covers here is about as much color as you're going to get, and that's only on the covers. And because you see the black and white with gray tones approach, some people might wonder why the book wasn't done in color. But I think it's appropriate to be black and white. I think it gives the series a sense of timelessness, so that you're not like set into a certain era, as it were. Now, there are other factors in the story that probably will lock it within a certain time period, artistically as well. But artistically speaking, as a black and white with minimized tones, it pays homage to classic Hollywood monster films while also attempting to do it in a postmodern methodology in terms of the story. But if I had to list any sort of reservations, I would say that some of the language in certain gory situations might be a turnoff for parents. And I would recommend the series as for mature readers as a result, but it is kind of a hard PG-13 soft R level book. I recommend it for mature readers, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And we'll take a quick look at some interior art here from issue number 1. And this is pretty solid. But you can kind of see what I mean a little bit with some of the computerized graphics, with the shading and the tones. It's well crafted, though, and I don't have a problem with it. As far as the actual technique that's used, it's well executed. But like the dot matrix here on the bottom right corner for his glasses, and then there's the way the graphics look kind of painterly splotchy, but that's computer graphics stuff as far as I can tell. And I think that shows a bit too much in the more so in the latter issues than in the early ones. Okay, our next book. Oh, wait, there's still some more artwork here to show. There we go. Here's our team. You probably can't tell because the screen's a little small. I don't know if I can get closer or not, but there's a lot of pixel gradation and dot matrix stuff here in the background over here and across his face in this panel. Again, this is stuff that's just typical shading type stuff with computers, and it doesn't look bad. It's just not necessarily what some people are not going to like it. I don't mind it, but it is what it is. Okay, our next book is Creepshow number 3 for $3.99. Publisher Image Comics, Skybound, and GN Cartel. I still think that's the group. The writers are El Marlo and Francesco Francavilla, and Ariella Cristantina. The artists are Francesco Francavilla and George Corona. Colorists Francesco Francavilla and Jean-Francois Beaulieu. Lettering by Pratt Roussel. The cover shown here is by Chris Burnham and Adriano Lucas. There's also a cover by Francesco Francavilla and another one by Vance Kelly. The genre is horror and dark comedy. And it was released on November 23rd, 2022. The book features 2 stories. In the first story, entitled Hair, Jimmy the Barber is giving hunters, people who go out hunting for the fall season, their regular haircuts as hunting season begins, but the hunters are getting murdered in the woods by a mysterious being with their heads being torn off. What is the cause of this, and what does Jimmy have to do with it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to buy and read the book to find out, but it's kind of cool. And in the second story, The Bridge, a bitchy social media diva and her friends go to an old island where she ignores all the local customs and warnings and crosses into another realm and gets lost. Should have listened and not been a diva. What will happen to her and her friends? Well, again, check it out. What do I think? Well, the truth is neither story really hit for me. They're both okay stories. There's nothing inherently wrong with either one of them, but they're not quite to the same level of quality as what had been featured in the first 2 issues of the series. Hair is the better of the 2 stories, but it's a little predictable at the end. And The Bridge just didn't click for me at all, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't know how well this book is selling in stores. I'm sure it's selling better than, say, Shudder magazine does, even though I regularly read Shudder, because it is from Image and it's in color versus black and white. Shudder's in black and white. But as each issue's quality has dropped ever so slightly, it does make me wonder how long the title is going to last. And that's an unfortunate thing because we do need to have horror comics and more horror anthology type comics like this in the market. I do recommend it for ages 14 and up. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. And I guess, I don't know, pretty quiet in the chat tonight. Okay. Our next book is Eve, Children of the Moon number 2 for $3.99 from Boom Studios. Writer is Victor Laval. Artist is Jo Min Jeong. Colorist Brittany Peer with cover art by Ariel Enendito. The genre is dystopian science fiction, and it was released on November 23rd, 2022. And what it's about, Celine, who is the leader of a certain port of rest for the kids that are surviving from the pandemic in this world. And she gives the details of her origins and how she provided hope for many of the children that have flocked to her rest area compared to others around. And but most importantly, what will her resentment toward Eve's doppelganger twin sister, and Wexler mean when they arrive at the port of call? Well, this is a very nice issue. It's well paced, has a good cliffhanger to keep you interested in getting the next issue. Celine's history and her perspective of what's going on is solidly written. But if you haven't read the series, the first miniseries and also the first 2 issues of this first issue of this series, it's going to be very hard to follow, I think. Even though things are spelled out, there's a lot of backstory that really you need to have read the earlier stuff to get into this one. Recommended for ages 13 up. I give it 3.5 stars. But I would have liked it to. I'd like for them to get a little more marketing for at least the first miniseries if they're going to kind of keep going with this, because I don't know if the series has enough of an audience base to maintain a miniseries by miniseries base if the trades aren't selling. Our next book is Kamen Rider 01 number 1 for $3.99. Publisher Titan Books. Writer Brandon Easton. Artist Hendry Prosetia. And colorist Brian Valenza with lettering by, I don't know if that's supposed to be Jamie or Ame, but that's how it's spelled. Genre, science fiction, action hero manga. Released November 23rd, 2022. And what it's about: Aruto Hayden, CEO and heir to the Hayden Intelligence Corporation and the new Kamen Rider 01, is being questioned by local authorities in conjunction with some of the culpability of his company and damages to the city around him when he's in battles against different enemies in the population. After the interrogation, Aruto and his assistant, Izu Humagir, that's an android, are discussing whether his and the other Kamen Riders' activities are really helping humanity when they are confronted by a mysterious rogue Kamen Rider known as Ragnarok. And Arturo, I have an Arturo. I keep wanting to call him Arturo. It's Aruto. Arturo sounds better, though. I'm sorry. But anyway, Aruto has to suit up and try to face off against this new opponent. But only having recently assumed the role of the KMZO suit, he is easily overmatched, as he really doesn't know all of his suit's capabilities and hasn't had enough training. He is downed, and we are left with Ragnarok about to kill him as the issue leaves it as a cliffhanger. What do I think? As a complete newcomer to this character concept, I felt like some of the subtext and context was missing, like I was walking into the story in medias res. But that is the risk of when you're launching a series based on a long-standing property, I suppose. There was a printing error on page 6 where the lettering didn't show through, which was annoying and should have been caught by the editor before it went to mass print, in my opinion. But I guess things happen. I wonder if this was in all the copies or only part of the print run, as there were several different covers, and that flaw could have been something that was only in a certain part of the print run or whatever, and it might make that more of a collector's piece, I guess, like what happens when printers accidentally put 2 covers on a single copy. But I don't know. I'll show you in a minute what that looks like, that mistake. Insofar as the story and art, Prosetia's art doesn't really grab me. It's not bad, but it's not something I'd go out of my way for as a reader. I mostly bought the book to check out what Brandon Easton had done with the writing of the series, and it's fairly standard stuff. I do wish there was a bit more backstory as a newcomer, and if this were formatted as a traditional manga series with 100+ pages per issue, I'm sure I'd be getting that. But with the traditional American 20 pages of story, it does feel a bit cramped and truncated as pacing and storyline goes. This is something I've noticed in several of Brandon's works in the past, notably in Judge Dredd False Witness, the one-shot Transformers deviations that he did where Optimus Prime survived, the effects of the movie, and Vampire Hunter D as well. Then this does make me wonder why this happens in some of his works, because I haven't noticed it on his Star Trek work or his DC work, and I wonder if it's just different approaches or perhaps different expectations on an editorial level or what. Overall, though, it's a pretty average comic. I wouldn't go out of my way to get it if you're not already a fan of the character property, though. Recommended for ages 13 up. I give it 2.5 stars. Here's the artwork. On the left, you see the physical goofed up version. You can see here in this bottom left corner where the caption is missing. It's like, it just didn't show through or cover up the panel like it's supposed to. And you can also notice that this area here where it's supposed to be jump rising hopper is not bright as the digital version of it. You can see it very clearly, and you can see where the caption properly covers the artwork. Again, I'm not sure why that happened, but things like that happen, I guess. Here's some more of the artwork from the series. And, his artwork is okay. Presenter's art's all right. It's just, or Preseccia, I should say. I don't know. It's not grabbing me. I'll keep with it just to see where it goes, but I think it's like a 4-issue miniseries, so, we'll go ahead and stick with it. And of course, Monster Fan is recovering from a bad flu, and I hope you feel better as well. Our next book is Mega, Rise of the Black Swan, #2 of 2. $7.99 from Stonebot Comics and Red 5 Comics. The writer-artist is Salvador Sanz, with a translation for the script from Chris Ortega. Lettering by Camila Jorge, or George. I'm not sure which way it's pronounced. Genre science fiction, released November 9th, 2022. And what it's about, the jackals, who are ancient kaiju beings trapped deep inside the planet's depths, are being freed by a rebellious teenage boy. But the jackals are not interested in us or our world. They have come to devour something more important than mere flesh. They have come to devour time itself. Can they be stopped? Sands has a really interesting story going here. Felipe, who's the kid who has been waking the jackals, steals the Mega's horn from Edgar and Tina, and the jackal known as the Black Swan defeats the Mega as a result, and things go from bad to worse. But he does lose me a bit at the tail end of the issue when Tina reveals she has another horn device in her possession and can call upon a new defender. Exactly who or what that is will come next time, but the problem with that is this is supposed to be a 2-issue story, so now we got to wait for however many months or whatever it is going to take for them to solicit the next mini-series. Like I said back in September, in issue #1, Felipe shouldn't be the focal villain, in my opinion. But here he outwits Edgar and drugs him, steals the horn from Tina, and nothing is really resolved in this 2-issue arc. At least the first miniseries, which was 4 issues, was complete. This was kind of rather disappointing as a result. Now we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the next arc whenever it comes. Given that it was 8 months between the first miniseries and this one, I'm not so sure that fans are going to want to wait another 8 months for the next installment. But we'll wait and see. Recommended for ages 13 and up for those who are going to read it. 2.5 stars. Again, the artwork is nice as always, but again, do you really want to wait that long in between installments? I don't know. Our next book is Tales of Monkeys Fighting Robots, or Tales of MFR, the complete collection trade paperback, written by Matthew Sardo and Jamie Jones, or Jamie Jones and Matthew Sardo. It's actually more Jamie's book with Matt writing script. Art by Jamie Jones. Genre science fiction, released September 26th, 2022, apparently. I got it in October, but it's been sitting around. I haven't gotten around to reading it until just now. What it's about? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's monkeys fighting robots. The war between monkeys and robots has raged on for eons. These are the stories that have survived. In a post-apocalyptic future where it seems humanity has long ago been wiped out, monkeys evolved into speaking humanoid-type critters, battling the robots who wiped out humanity in a war of all times. We have ninja monkeys. We have cybernetic soldier monkeys. There's probably a Western gunslinger monkey or two in there that I miss seeing. It's a throwback to the 1950s and 1960s ape comics, only with other breeds of monkeys, set against the backdrop of a classic DC and EC science fiction comic series. And what do I think of it? Well, I think it's a wonderfully weird series that highlights all of Jones's favoritisms to the pulp era of science fiction and the pulp era of comics, with just a touch of 1970s pop science fiction thrown in from Sardo. It has a throwback feel that should appeal to older readers of Silver and early Bronze Age comics fans, but can also appeal to younger audiences as well. It's a series that can be breezily, not thread, but read through and enjoyed, but then you can also slow down and appreciate the nuances in the artwork and the context of story, which lends the book itself to potential multiple readings. I recommend it for ages 12 and up. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And I didn't scan it because of the format. It's a little bit thick like that, as you can see. A little bit different type of book. I didn't want to try and break the spine here, but here's some of the artwork from it. And if you're familiar with Jamie's work, I've had him on the show before. We've talked about his series, The Baboon, which is not a baboon. He's actually a pulp fiction hero, more like the Spirit. But here's some more of this. Different robots. As you can see, there is a human there. Or is he a human monkey? Who knows? Anyway, do recommend this. You can probably find it online through Matt Sardo's monkeyfightingrobots.com, I think is the name of it. URL there, if I remember correctly. Our next book is Midnight Highway number 3. Also from Bad Bug Media, crowdfunded. Writers are Mike Tenner and Alex Madej. Artist is Alexander Malashev, with color by Hedwin Zaldivar and lettering by Dave Lentz. Supernatural horror adventure, released November 2022. And what it's about. Midnight Highway follows the misadventures of Alex Tomlin, a teenage boy lost on a mysterious supernatural road where anything can and will happen. Alex is just trying to find a way back home to his girlfriend Kelly, but his car stalls out, and he gets captured by Boy Scout vampires. Yes, you read that right. Boy Scout vampires. Vampires in Boy Scout uniforms. So he's trying to talk his way out of being eaten or fed upon. And he says there's hellhounds after him and that they eat vampires and whatnot. And eventually a critter that could pass as a hellhound shows up and he escapes back to his car, which miraculously is ready to run again. And he takes off. In all honesty, it's a pretty damn silly issue, but it's fun to read. The tone is written in such a manner that you can tell the authors know they're being silly, and they're entrusting the audience to run with it. And there are many comics that are silly, but the writers expect you to take it seriously, treat it like it's just norm. They don't. They're having fun with it, and they expect you to have fun with it as well. And now, what does bother me is that the last time I got issues of this was back in October of 2021. It should not take a year between issues. Unfortunately, that's just too much long. It's much too long of a period, and it's very easy to have your audience lose interest after that long. Luckily, the story is strong enough as a solo issue that I didn't have to go dig up the first 2 issues to keep up with what was going on. That's more than I can say for a lot of books that I read that take time in between issues to get out. And let me say that if there was some sort of health crisis or something else like printing issues or paper issues that delayed the book, I do understand. I just hope that the turnaround for issue number 4 is much quicker. I recommend this for ages 16 and up, and I give it a rating of 3 out of 5. Here's some of the artwork, and this is where Alex is. He's basically bound at the wrist, sitting at a fire around while these 3 vampire Boy Scouts are basically interrogating him and trying to find out where he's from and where he's at and stuff like that. Our next book is Pink Lemonade it's not number 2. Where is what? I don't know why that's up there. It shouldn't be there. We're just going to move on to the next one. There we go. It's Pink Lemonade number 3. The Oni Press edition, ages 12 and up for $3.99. Publishing, of course, by Oni Press with creator Nick Cagnetti, lettering by Francois Mignol and Nick Cagnetti. Genre science fiction fantasy, released. I don't know. It came out in November, but I don't remember the exact date because I missed the week it came out. I had to get it the following week, but it came out in the last 2-3 weeks. What it's about: blockbuster action star Ron Radical has quit his acting career to become an artist, and he's feeling a little insecure about his big debut. Of course, Pink Lemonade is a good friend, and so of course she shows up to the opening to support him. But things get weird when the mind-bending gallerist Cyan Magenta shows up, leading to a showdown between 2 pink lemonades. It's a true battle of the id as PL struggles to define herself in the face of an obvious pretender. What do I think? I think Nick is proving to be a very astute cartoonist and storyteller. We've had Nick on the show before, and we're fans of this series big time. It's one of the best series on the market right now, really, in terms of mainstream comics. It's indie through Oni, the diamond market, let's put it that way. I hope people are paying attention to this book because it is going to end issue number 5 or number 6. The final issue of the miniseries is solicited in the most recent previews that came out last week. And the fact is he should be getting some higher profile freelance offers for the level of quality of work he's producing. I've seen many fans of the cartoonist kayfabe base demanding that Marvel hire him to do some work. Most of them want to see him do Spider-Man stuff because he does a lot of Spider-Man fan art on his social media. And I get it, but I'd personally like to see him do some Doctor Strange. As the cover here demonstrates, he would be great for doing those alternate dimension backdrops and other stuff like that. Or I'd like to see him on Fantastic Four. But, I think what they're wanting him to do is kind of like the throwback stuff that was done by Ed Piskor, like X-Men Redux that Ed Piskor did, or what Jim Rugg did with Hulk. And Fantastic Four's already been done, so I don't know. Maybe Spider-Man, but I don't know. I'm just not a big Spider-Man fan enough to care. Regardless of this, though, Cagnetti really has captured that classic late 1960s vibe with a modern spin, much as Mike Allred did in the 1980s and 1990s. And such, it is a very fun book to read, and I give this episode, or this issue, rating of 4.5 stars. Here's some of the artwork where Pink Lemonade, our heroine on the left, is confronting her dark doppelganger. I do love the design of the doppelganger with the longer hair and the black cape, and instead of the yellow scarf, lightning bolt designs instead of just straight racing stripes on the pants. Full black boots with spikes instead of the flats that the real one wears. It's just really kind of cool. So, and what's even more funny is if you look in the crowd, you got Nick doing Beavis and Butthead in one panel, there's the characters in the bottom right corner from Daria. Daria and her friend, I can't remember her friend's name, is there. So so it's kind of funny. He's drawn these characters in his style, but it's obvious that he's paying homage to those characters. So just beautiful stuff by Nick. Highly recommended. Yeah, his art and colors really do pop, and like I said, I'd love to see him do something more mainstream, but we'll wait and see where it goes. This is the back cover to Pink Lemonade #3, which is an awesome full advertising design work that emulates the licensing soft drink and power drink advertising campaigns that were popular initially in the 90s and 2000s that are still in use to this day. And it does add a sense of bent reality to the story. Now, if only Nick could get a drink manufacturer to make it and give him some royalties, he'd make a mint probably. But it's just a really cool advertisement design. I love the way he did that on the back cover. So next book is Resident Alien, the Book of Love #1 for $3.99, published by Dark Horse Comics, writer Peter Hogan with art by Steve Parkhouse. The genre is science fiction, crime, noir, comedy, romance thing. It was released November 16th, 2022. What it's about: the agent who was trailing Harry tries to help him resolve his issues with the government, allowing things to quiet down a bit in Patience. That's the town that they're in. Harry and Asta grow closer, romance blooms, and guards are let down, but life always has a way of keeping things exciting, and big things can happen in small towns. As usual, the comic shines. I wish that the TV show that they've made from the comic was even a tenth as good as the comic. The TV show tries to be Northern exposure with an alien lead, and while Alan Tudyk does his best as the lead alien there, I can't get into the TV show at all. Story-wise here, it's more or less setting up the next chapter after the events in New York and how Agent Jones left it so that Harry would hopefully get left alone by the government, though, of course, the government is still keeping tabs on him. Harry and Astra have started dating, and the town is all happy for them, but Astra is a bit nervous about being the gossip of the town, since most people in Patience don't realize that Harry is an alien. They think he's just the country doctor. That's because even though he's an alien, he does some sort of mental projection that makes you think he looks more like a human being, so whatever. There's some other plot and character relationship developments going on as well, which will play out to counterbalance Harry and Astra's relationship as the storyline progresses as well, I'm sure. Again, I'm glad the comic was picked up and made into the TV series because it gives the book a much-needed boost in name recognition, as the book was pretty much canceled by the time the show was out due to lack of sales. So it's given the book some new life, and I hope that people who come to the book, having been introduced to it through the TV series, are not going to try and judge it based off the TV show, and that they'll come to realize that the comic is the superior version of the story. Recommended for ages 13 and up. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Here's some of the artwork. This is where Jones left the SUV vehicle, and they're trying to figure out where the alien is, or basically because they're, they know there's an alien around here somewhere, so they're looking for him. And of course, they're going to go back to Patience and try and figure it out because they think that they know that Harry's the one, but they haven't been able to prove it. And Harry's talking to Astra's father on a hiking trip, because it was actually Astra's father who got rid of the SUV with Agent Jones. And they're just having a conversation about the fact that he's now dating Astra, and he's asking, "Are you okay with that?" He's like, "Yeah, just be honest with her and don't mess her around, and I'm fine with it." So it's kind of a cool thing there. Nice background illustrations here by Parkhouse. Characters are well drawn as well, but I'm just, it's so nice to see someone actually just draw good backgrounds that look realistic and, respective of what they're supposed to be. The next book is Stuff of Nightmares #3 for $4.99. Publisher Boom Studios, written by R.L. Stine, art by A.L. Kaplan, colors by Roman Titov, letters by Jim Campbell, with a cover by Francesco Francavilla. Yes, the same one that was doing the CREEPSHOW book. Horror.comedy again, released on November 23rd, 2022. This is The Monster Makers Part 3. And at the end of the last issue, Isaac stabbed his brother Jordan in self-defense. Now, in order to save Jordan's brain, he must remove it and replace it in a new body akin to their experiments that they've been performing on others. Well, what will happen? Read the book to find out. As you can see, there's the brain out of the body, and there's a whole new body. He's going to put the brain in. It looks very Frankensteinish, because that's what they're ripping off. It's Frankenstein, basically. And I got to give Stein some credit. He does try to keep the readers guessing, but I think he's trying too hard, and he gets a bit too far into emulating the Frankenstein storyline here, where he could have gone somewhere a little more original and unique. But then Stein has always been sort of a hit and miss writer in this regard. Sometimes he's obvious where he's going. It's just paint by numbers work, so to speak. And sometimes he catches a flash of inspiration. Here's hoping he finds some inspiration in the concluding issue, next issue. I do recommend it for ages 16 and up. There is some visually gruesome stuff, like seeing the guy cut his brother's skull open and pulling out the brain. The cover, as you can see, there's the the skull cap open with the blood all over the floor and everything. So it's a little bit, it's not something for kids, obviously. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to give you the twist at the end, even though if you read it, you'll kind of roll your eyes. I think it's pretty obvious what they're doing, but we'll see. The next book is Torch, Reclaim the Skies #2 for $10. Publisher A.J. Roek, crowdfunded, written by A.J. Roek, artist Red Verrill, colorist Daniela Barasone, lettering by Amal Desai, and covers by Red Verrill. The genre is science fiction action adventure, and it came out November 18th. Or that's when I shouldn't say it was released. When I got it in the mail, it was November 18th, 2022. And what it's about: retired child prodigy star pilot Torch Armstrong misses the adrenaline rush of being a fighter pilot and is trying to get back her life back together, as well as try to give her little brother Spark a better life as well. They know they have to break free and feel the rush that an infinite number of galaxies have to offer, and so they have to run wild. As our rebels Torch and Spark Armstrong decide to break free and live as interstellar fugitives, all in a bid to quench Torch's thirst for adrenaline and adventure, the duo have to answer the most obvious question: how in the heck do they get off the planet they're on? Their status being retired and effectively grounded, they have to become fugitives. And while her newfound associate thinks he has a plan, Torch has her own agenda, and quite the agenda it is. It's a really fun issue. The only problem is the delay between issues, which wasn't entirely the creator publisher's fault. As I recall, there were some printers delayed, both the COVID and paper shortages. And I think also his printer was hit by one of the hurricanes that hit Florida. So at least there was an explanation as for the delay. But yeah, it's another one of those books that's in a year between issues, and that makes it hard to build and maintain an audience with. But I have enjoyed the series so far, and I do look forward to issue number 3. But as with Midnight Highway, I certainly hope it's not another year between issues. As you can see, AJ signed that version. There's other versions as well covered. Recommended for ages 13 up. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Here's some of the artwork from it. This is Torch confronting basically one of the guys that works as Underground Fugitive Rebellion, whatever. And his plan is to go to the museum where all of the artifacts, like her helmet and her ship and everything that was done because she was this great pilot for a interstellar war, are on display, and steal it, basically. And she's like, oh, that sounds like an interesting plan. Okay, cool. But then when they go to the museum, well, things are a little bit different. And this is also her basically proving her mettle against one of the other guys, the person that recruits her boss, more or less. And this is one of the other covers. It's got a silver embossed cover. That's why it's so shiny. And there was also some blank covers. I got 2 blank covers. So if you've followed Torch in the past, from me reviewing it from issue number 1, or when I had AJ on the show, or this sounds like something you might be interested in, you can always order the blank cover, and I can do a sketch cover for you on it. Our next book is Traveling to Mars, number 1, $3.99 from Ablaze Publishing, written by Mark Russell, with art by Roberto De Carmeli and colors by Chiara Di Francia, lettering by Mattia Gentili. This is the main cover by Roberto Melli. There were also covers by Mirka Andolfo, Zulema Scudda Lavina, and Brent McKee. Genre science fiction, released November 9th, 2022. And what it's about. It tells the story of a former pet store owner, or pet store manager, rather, Roy Livingston, the first human to ever set foot on Mars. Roy has been chosen for this unlikely mission for one simple reason. He's terminally ill with cancer and has no expectation of returning to Earth. Roy is joined on his mission to Mars by Leopold and Albert, 2 Mars rovers equipped with artificial intelligence, who look upon him as a sort of god, against the backdrop of not only his waning days to those of human civilization as well. He has ample time to think about where things went wrong for both himself and humanity, and what it means to be a dying god. God in quotations. What do I think? I think the first issue is hilarious, as Livingston tells the reader of his not particularly eventful life before being selected to go to Mars. There's lots of really funny moments, but it's a dry humor. Not British dry humor, but more of the matter-of-fact Southerner type of dry humor. It's kind of like what would you get if you put Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, but he's being portrayed by Matthew McConaughey instead of the guy who plays him on the show. From the whole Pentecostal upbringing to the Meemaw, to the whole casual, laid-back demeanor of McConaughey in most of his roles. I love the bit about the character's father's death and how the character died. I'm not going to spoil that for you. It's hilarious, though. So the whole series should be quite interesting. I'm unsure why the cancer is halted while he's in space, but once he gets landed on Mars, it's going to reestablish itself and with a vengeance. It kind of, that didn't make sense to me, but whatever. That might be a whole put on, and turns out that something else is going on that the character doesn't know about. We'll have to wait and see as the series progresses. The character might know nothing about, but the AI buddies might. But like I said, the best part is why they're sending them to Mars, because Earth's resources are so screwed up, and they found deposits of different types of material and resources on Mars. So they're sending him to claim it in the name of whatever company or country he's going to represent. And he claims whoever gets the resources is going to control the economy of the world. I say hardly. It's going to cost too much, way too much, trying to transport those resources from Mars to Earth. So that doesn't make sense to me. But to me, something else should be going on, but he doesn't really realize yet. But we'll see where this story goes. Recommended for ages 16 and up. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars for now. And here is some of the artwork. The hat he's wearing is actually one of Stevie Ray Vaughan's. It's given to him as a present before he leaves. I love how he's walking around in cowboy boots and a tank top, and I don't know if those are supposed to be regular shorts or they're just briefs. Yeah, or not briefs, but oh geez, I can't think of the type of but underwear anyway. Yeah, it's like underwear with boots and a hat, just walk around the spaceship like that, Kind of funny design there. And then he's talking about how the first Mars rover found the deposits and how if those deposits existed, at least at one time, Mars was full of lush lands and animals and critters, supposedly. So, and this is the imagination of that in the bottom left. And then we have Voyages, #1, for $3.99 from Image Comics by Sumeye Kazgin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Genre science fiction, released November 16th. And what it's about is, what if one of the Voyager probes was found by aliens on an uninhabitable planet laid to waste by a wandering black hole? Their resources dwindling, and under the thumb of a relentless tyrant, the alien hero lead character Sen, that's the female in the center here with the gun, her discovery of the probe leads to adventure and possible salvation for her and her people. Now, I was somewhat familiar with this creator from their artwork on the series Elsewhere with Jay Faber from Image. This is their writing debut, and you can sort of tell it's their writing debut. They're not a bad writer, but it's just that they're still finding their voice, if you will, I think. The concept rather is cool, and Kazgin's art is very nice. It has a very Middle Eastern sensibility, though, as a story. Understandable, since the creator is from Istanbul, Turkey. Now, what do I mean by the book being Middle Eastern? What I mean is that an American writer or another writer based in a more safe and affluent region of the world would not be presenting the story in the same manner as Kazgin does. It's a very clear metaphorical and direct analogy to the instability and destabilization that is commonplace in their part of the world. That's being represented well in the comic, but it's done in such a manner that it doesn't take you out of the story, and it's not preachy like a lot of the so-called woke comics are. Unfortunately, there are a few minor editorial gaffes that I caught as I read. There's a misspelled word, al, instead of all on one page, and then there's another page that had a made-up word. Kolaches, I guess is how it's pronounced. which had an asterisk by it, implying that there was meant to be a caption box to explain what the word meant, but there was no caption on the page to explain what the word meant. Luckily, in the context of what was going on in the story, we can conclude that it's likely a measurement of distance, but little things like that did detract from the work ever so slightly, and it knocked it just a little bit on the rating. I do recommend it for ages 13 and up. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. If it didn't have those editorial mistakes, I probably would have given it a 4.5. It's a really good starting issue. Art is very nicely done. Characters are pretty engaging. And this is an example of the artwork. And they're out looking for resources on their barren wasteland world, while the tyrant sending his different sentinels and stuff around. And they're trying to find a way to get the resources out without being caught, of course. But they've been spotted and they're going to get attacked. It's a matter of how are they going to escape the situation in this issue. Okay. That is all of our reviews for this week, folks. Now, there was something, since Black Jackets was supposed to be my open reveal, fortunately something else came in today that I can make my reveal instead. And that is the book Silence. And this is by Adam Cyber or Thomas, I'm not sure I got his last name right. I want to say it's Vincelli, but it might not be. No, it's Bonneau. Okay, Thomas Bonneau, but he's known online as Adam Cyber. And this is the first issue. It's very short, 20-page short story. I can't really show a whole lot of it because there is a lot of nudity in it. But when I do review it on later this week, I'll show you more of the art without the nudity in it, because there are pages without nudity. But it is a nice artwork there. A little bit thicker, issue number 2. It's black and white. Basically, it's a science fiction story where a woman lands on a different planet and gets infected with something local, and metamorphosis happens, basically. But looks interesting. I'll be looking forward to reviewing that on Thursday. We'll also do some other stuff on Thursday. I mentioned that we're doing something with the weekend sale. I don't know if we're going to do it on Saturday or we're going to do it on Saturday or Sunday yet. But we'll have a live draw as well during that. Might have a live draw tomorrow, might not. Have to wait and see. On Friday, be joined by John Norris to discuss the film Westworld, the 1973 classic, by Michael Crichton, starring Yul Brynner as the gunslinger and others. So that's pretty much what's going on for the rest of the week. So that's all for now. If you like this video, or you think others might, hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from my channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. Social media: Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. I still have my site at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. I might be changing that down the road in 2023. We'll see. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. Again, questions, comments, suggestions of topic of discussion, quotetherravenlbr72@gmail.com is the place to reach me at. If I'll get back with you in a day or two, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks.